Before I go any further with this video, I just want to say, Nebraska fans, I'm rooting for you. This is a very pro Husker channel. We want to see Nebraska get back to the old school style of play. We're rooting to see what is going to happen in year 2 underneath Matt Rhule. And we love your fan base for the dedication, the loyalty, the humility, and more importantly, the heartbreak that you've gone through over the last decade. I want to make that abundantly clear. But we are about to talk about the spring game, and there's going to be a lot of high moments, but we have to remember to temper our expectations going into year 2 underneath Matt Rhule. So with that being said, let's go ahead and break down what we saw this past weekend in Lincoln. But if you're new here, welcome on into the channel, people. Make sure that you like the video, hit subscribe down below because we talk college football every single day. I know I've been gone for the last several weeks, but you know what? I'm back. The NFL draft is over. It's time to focus back on college football. So make sure that you're joining, telling your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, Big Ten faithful, college football aficionados, and Nebraska fans everywhere about this channel because we're on the race to become not only the #1 YouTube show talking about our favorite sport, but also the #1 college football community. You can follow me on all my social media platforms at Mr. Cole Thompson, Twitter, Facebook, X, Instagram, even TikTok I'm on. And if you want to have a one-off video done with questions that you're wanting to be answered, go ahead and slide to the DMs on Twitter or email me at colethompsonwriting@gmail.com. Nebraska, this has just been a program that I feel for because you thought that you knew what you were doing when you fired Bo Pelini. That was arguably the worst decision of all time to move off to Mike Riley. And then you bring back the pride of Lincoln and Scott Frost, and you think that that's going to go well. It only cascades in flames. And now one of the most polarizing figures that was a player is now one of the most disdained people as a coach. Well, Rhule comes in. He's a program builder. You felt good. And when you look at the stats sheet, people are going to say, well, they still missed a bowl game last year. They still weren't able to get past the humps. They still had mental mistakes on mental mistakes. Yeah, but you felt good about where you were with Rhule. And you got to feel really good right now when it comes to everything else that goes on in this building, especially when you look at the quarterback room. Dylan Raiola, the five-star recruit that was committed to Georgia all the way up until basically the 11th hour, and then like fairy godmother and Cinderella, comes back down, makes her the belle of the ball, and he ends up going to Nebraska and joining the family league. He looked phenomenal. He looked great. He was clean with his decision movement. He was great when it came to his deep ball accuracy. If I'm not mistaken, 16 and 22, 239 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Had a very overall good day. Felt like a veteran running that offense. Felt like a guy who certainly has taken the next step forward and definitely is going to be your starting quarterback week 1. I think that when you go ahead and you break down everyone else on this roster, they had some good days. I thought that you felt really good about Hauser. I think you felt really good about where this quarterback room was. And the best part is Matt Rhule said as advertised, the only way that we're going to get better is if everyone in this room gets better. Like you heard him post-game talking about how, yeah, we kind of have a good understanding about the pecking order of where this quarterback room is. But the thing is that everyone has to continue to push people because we don't want to make that a weak point. I don't think many people remember Nebraska's offense last year. It was downright awful. It was bad. Well, but I don't want to hear about the rushing attack. I know what the rushing attack was. I know that they were able to at least somewhat move on the ground. Go back and look at the passing numbers. And that's not a shot at Jeff Sims. That's not a shot at any other quarterback that's on this team. That's just the reality. There were 4 teams worse than them, and 3 of them were the academy schools, and the 4th was Iowa. That was the passing attack. They were that bad last year. It was just complete and total. Like, imagine you seeing a piece of, man, and 90s people will really remember this one. Imagine knowing that piece of dog poo that would be lit on fire and you had to stamp it out with your boots, but that one kid found a way to get the grass that was mixed in with the diarrhea flavor, just disgusting. And that smell lingered on the porch for weeks. You weren't able to get rid of it. You had to basically sprint into your house. That was the passing attack. A diarrhea flaming of dog poo last year in Lincoln. And I don't think that's going to be the case. And part of the reason why is because I look at this receiving core. I'm very excited. I don't think many people realize there's going to be a #1 receiver. So somebody's going to come out of here and easily come out and prove that they are the legit superstar. Now who is it? Is it transfer Isaiah Nayor? Is it Ja'Cory Barney, the freshman from Miami? He had a really good go around. I think it was 25 yards downfield. What about a guy like Jerry Bonner? How does he look? Alex Bullock, the redshirt junior. Jamal Banks is over here. They have some players that I don't think are going to be elite by any means. But what I do think is they're going to be stable. And there's not going to be that much of a drop off. So you look at your wide receiver 1, you look at your wide receiver 3, you look at your wide receiver 7, you can interchange them depending on the formation that you need on that day. That's the way I feel about this. It's a very deep, deep receiver room. It's a very talented receiver room. There's a lot of question marks about who is going to be the alpha in that room, but that's what the fall camp is for, and that's what the early part of the season is for. So you look at Nebraska, defensively, people are going to go ahead and have some conversations. If I went back and I remember correctly watching the film, of the 78% of the production that was returning, I think it was 6 starters were playing for Tony White that day. So, yeah, you can go ahead and toss up and go, oh, God. Oh, boy. Raiola, fresh out of here. Plays like Patrick Mahomes. Easily going to be a superstar. Defense is taking a step back. I don't think so. I think that when you kind of put yourself in this scenario, you didn't need to see that much in the defense because you know what the version of this team could be. You know exactly what you could expect from them moving forward. And so you go talk about defense. Let's wait until week 1 to actually have a conversation about what Tony White's overall formation is going to be. He is a hot name that is going to garner, I think, a lot of interest when it comes to head coaching searches next year. The over-under win total is at 7.5, according to FanDuel. I think that's fair. I think right now, when you look at where Nebraska should be, this is the next stage underneath Matt Rhule. And we know the Matt Rhule story. Year 1 is about establishing a culture. Year 2 is about turning a few games that were losses into wins. And year 3 is where it all culminates. I don't think many Nebraska fans out there should be expecting a college football playoff appearance. I don't think that many Nebraska fans out there should be expecting this team to really be up there alongside the Oregons or the Ohio States or even the Michigans of the world. And Michigan's lost a ton of talent, including their head coach. But I do think that when you look back at those games last year, there was 5, if I'm not mistaken, 1 possession losses. 3 of them can turn into wins. And 3 of them turning into wins goes from a 5-7 season to an 8-4 season. And 8-4, I think that's basically 10-2 after the abysmal dismay that has been what's going on at Memorial Stadium for the last 8+ years. That's like a 10-2 season. That's good enough for you to say, not only are we bowl eligible, not only do we have a foundation, we have some young players that are going to be a part of our fixture as we do go for that college football playoff run. And so year 3, it's kind of like I've already said, like many of you watch my videos and you hear me talk about Miami and talk about Texas. I said year 3 for Texas was going to be the year that this is where it all comes together. I've been on the record multiple times saying that I think Miami this year is going to be that team that gets it all together. I think 2025 is the year where Nebraska puts it all together, especially with a coach like Matt Rhule leading the charge, who's just a program innovator. He knows what he's doing when it comes to establishing a certain baseline and basically following the book page by page. You're not skipping over a few chapters to go and ruin the recipe. What you're doing is you're setting yourself up for consistency, and consistently, you will end up finding the fruits of your labor in your bountiful pleasure. I think that you're in a good spot if you're Nebraska. You don't need to worry about the defense that much. Don't overhype and oversaturate. Like, the problem with the Dylan Raiola thing is like, here, this is the thing that keeps me going every single day. I need caffeine to function. And you know what? This is my fuel. The performance of what you saw on Saturday will be the hype fuel that carries Nebraska fans to way too high expectations. This is still a true freshman. You got to give him time. Just don't go ahead and ruin one of the best things that's happened to you by oversaturating him to be the next big thing, because we've already seen this happen before. And it's happened with a multitude of passers that probably should have had time to develop, and they didn't. And now because of it, they ended up hurting their own careers. So give him time. He's going to get even better than what you saw on Saturday. Don't put all your eggs in the Dylan Raiola basket right here and right now. Give it a moment. Let it breathe. Trust the run game. Trust the defense. Trust the front 7. Trust what you have at wide receiver. And then trust that this is all a part of the big plan. I think the big plan looks really promising in Lincoln. In fact, it's as big as Big Red. And that alone should be enough to say, we made the right hire. Now it's about making sure that we have the right formalities in place to continue to build off of it. Make sure you hit the video, like, subscribe down below, leave a comment. What's your overall thoughts on Nebraska going into 2024? Are they a Big Ten sleeper? Are they a legit team on the come up? Where does Nebraska rank for you? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're not on the race to become just the #1 YouTube show talking about our favorite sport, but the #1 college football community. To Nebraska fans, college football aficionados, and everybody watching this video, I am Cole Thompson. See you next time, folks. Later.